Hi, this is Sheree with Rehashfiber. I'm going to work through my stash and hopefully help you work through yours as well. As fiber artists, we have a magnificent hobby. It is so much fun. There are times, however, that I get too much yarn and it starts to make me feel bad because I can't get to it. I see all the beautiful things and I have ideas in my mind, and there comes a time, and this is it, where I gather it up and I'm going to work through it. So I've given myself a personal 30-day challenge. I've been doing research for patterns that are easy and quick. So here's the key that works for me. The Rigid Heddle Loom will use up yarn very quickly, and I'm going to make realistic projects that will be used on it. The other thing I like is crocheting bags. That uses up yarn as well and goes pretty fast. I love to knit, so I'm just going to stay with patterns that have the larger knitting needles for the thicker yarns, and that should go faster. So what I'm going to do is share with you along the way these easy patterns that if you have a stash and want to use things up, you can. And the whole key for me is I still want usable items that I like. I don't want to use up the yarn just for the sake of using it up. So there is some thought into it of like what color will really go with that I would really use, or what would look good in that room, and what would I really wear, and is it soft enough for that? So you know all those things. So join me as we go through my 30-day challenge. Here we are at the end. It was a fun, busy month, and the best part was just watching skein or ball of yarn go down, 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 down. I was like, oh, it was so good, because these things have been weighing heavy on me because I wanted to use them and just wasn't getting to them. So it was nice for me to concentrate my time on doing this. All right, so the number one most helpful tool for using up the stash is the Rigid Heddle Loom. Or it could be other looms. That is the one that I have. I got it originally because I was intrigued. I loved that idea of fiber art, of weaving it. It's pretty straightforward. And now it is my best friend for using up all this hand spun yarn that I love to produce. And I personally just can't have it keep piling up. I have to use it. So I'm going to start with those things right now. Here we have a great pillow for the TV room. I used wool to warp it and cat fur to weft it. So it gave it a nice, soft, fuzzy halo. A lot of fun, went fast. So happy to use those wools that were just piling up. If you've been watching previous shows, you will see my next two projects, because that's what was kind of fun in this month. Because I want to keep giving you new information, I was able to do the weft float for this scarf, and that is in a show listed. And then I knit this little rug, which, you know what, is not going to be a rug anymore. Changed my mind. But I used the wavy shuttle and showed you that in a show. So used up some yarn there. Just remember that Rigid Heddle Loom. Here we have the Gryer shawl. It's perfect for using up yarn. It's just fun to do in general. It is mostly garter stitch with a few rows of yarn overs to create pretty little holes or lace looking things. I had 3 skeins of yarn from some hand spun that I found coordinating colors and made it up. All patterns will be listed in the description of the show so that if you want to use them, they're there for you. All right, the next thing for knitting, I'm wearing it. I had alpaca 3-ply. I did 3 different colors. It is when I was demonstrating the ply ball. So there's a show on that if you want to know how to ply 3 different colors and make it simpler by using the ply ball. This had been sitting around for a while and I had felt so bad that I wasn't using it up. So I found a great tank top pattern in Vogue Knitting from the Spring Summer magazine of '01. So this is the twisted rib tank top. And so happy I finally used it up. All right, let's get on to some crocheting here. Like I said, bags are good. I had this beautiful yarn hanging out forever, balls and balls of it. And so I made this really nice market bag tote that can hold a whole lot of stuff, as you can see. So like when I go to the yarn store, it can be over my shoulder and I can just fill it up with yarn and stuff. So that's great for using up a bunch of yardage. I needed a yoga bag tote. You can accomplish this in a weekend. There's a show on this too, so I'll list that. Now the really fun surprise for me was making this. I have a ton of cat fur that is spun into thick, chunky yarn. It was the first thing I started doing. I was given a ton of cat fur from Kitty Cat Groomers, one of the best groomers in Tampa Bay, with all these fabulous cats and all the beautiful fur. And so I was on a roll with that for quite some time. And there's a show on that too about spinning cat and dog fur. But I still have bins of spun cat fur, and this made me so happy to use up because this rug, I was able to just go through ball after ball after ball. It's a thick, chunky crochet, super easy, goes fast. If you stuck with this with your days, you could be done with this in a day, okay? So if you have thick, chunky yarn laying around and want to use it up, this is great. And the pattern is called No Wool Left Behind. Initially I thought, well, maybe I'll do this for 1 or 2 months. And so a month was good, a month of concentrated effort. So I have these patterns to share with you, but here's where the community aspect comes in again. I need your help because I will probably do this again when I have a pile up again and maybe in another year. And so if you have easy, fast patterns, please just send me the name and the maker, and if they're not on Ravelry, then how I will find them. And I will look at those patterns and possibly get them for the next show. So I would really appreciate that. I have a fun fact for you. I used 3,216 yards of yarn. So yay, it's out of my stash and into usable items. Wonderful. These were 8 projects in all, and my load feels a lot lighter. So lately, I've started a new thing in the show, doing fiber community talk time. I either put it at the beginning or at the end, wherever it fits most appropriately. I do know people want to get to the show and see what the topic is about, but then there's some people that don't have anything to do with that topic and maybe they just want to hear some fiber stuff. So we're putting it in there and I'm definitely guiding you guys along the way. I want you to see the programming you want and you have the control. So, you know what I wanted to tell you about today is thank you for being such a kind community. When I was starting this, I didn't know if negative people and negative comments popped in everywhere. And my brother Bart, who is very successful with a YouTube show called Scotch Test Dummies, he's been in this now for 8 years. And I said, well, what do you do with negative comments? Well, he was a former comedian, so he just turns it into fun comedy bits. He has a blast with it. He loves it actually because it gives him something to talk about. So he said, you know what, Cherie, if you get some bad comments, we will then make a nice comedy bit on your show about it. So I thought, okay, that's a positive way to do it. You know what? Nobody has ever said anything bad. I've had 2 comments that weren't great, but they were honest. One lady said, you're spinning the wrong way on the great wheel. Okay, I guess you're supposed to spin it where it spins to the back. I was spinning it forward because that's how I learned, but that's also how it feels good for me. So it puts the twist in the opposite way. It gives you an S twist for the single, and then you have to Z for the ply. It may be wrong technically, but it still produces yarn I can use, and I use it without thinking twice. I do not worry. If I want to use that yarn, I use it, and it's good to go. So that's kind of how the art world works. There can be a right way, but then it also can be done multiple ways. The other thing, and I got a little chuckle out of this because it was like my second video. The lady said, "You talk too much. Just get right to the business of it." And so when I watched it back, I was like, oh geez, I talk too much. See, I'm talking to you now, but I'm just like, this is story sharing. That was just rambling on about how I got the fiber, and that's not very interesting. So I'm going to try to keep things interesting for you and still let you get to know me. So, but you know what? I just want to thank you for being so kind. And the first bad comment that comes in, we'll all have a good chuckle. We're just a bunch of really nice people in the fiber world, so it's been going great. Okay, the other thing too, these are my all calls, and you may hear about it for a while, but I'm always needing show content. And if you know somebody or you are somebody that has a business, a farm, a product, or you know of an adventure that includes fiber, please email me. You can find everything on rehashfiber.com, and I will assess everything. And if it is the right project, I will travel to that location and do a road show. And also, if you're a maker of something and you want to send something to have it on the show, it will get airtime. I just can't guarantee how much, and we cannot send it back. So we're just going to thank you very much for that item. So I will incorporate more of the fiber world so that we can all keep sharing this together. All right, and lastly, Patreon. We need you. It helps keep the show going. Again, you can get to Patreon through my website, and if you just support by giving $3 a month, it really helps keep the show going. And also merchandise is there, same deal. So, all right, if you choose to work on your stash, I would love to see what you do. I love communicating with fiber artists. You can always email me at rehashfiber@outlook.com. I would love to see it. If you watch the show, you have pictures, it'd be great. So good luck to you if you use up your stash. Happy weaving, crocheting, knitting, and thanks for watching.